This is Dateline News and Conversation. My guest tonight is a good friend. We are both members of the International Association of the Friends of Crimea. She is coming to us from Serbia, Belgrade in Serbia. She is the director and the founder of the Center for Geostrategic Studies. She travels a great deal. She's a friend of Russia. And tonight we're going to talk about several things. But first of all, I will be very happy to welcome back to the show Dragana Trifkovic. Dragana, so good to see you virtually. We were just together in Moscow a few weeks ago.
Personally, yes. Thank you very much, dear Regis. For me, it's always a pleasure to speak with you and to discuss with you. It's my pleasure.
So you attended this international conference. It was entitled, I Want to Live in Russia. And you wrote an article for your website titled, I Want to Live in Russia, Escape from the West from Repression, Aggressive Propaganda, and Deviant Ideology. Now, Dragana, if we can start with that last phrase, deviant ideology.
Yes.
You know that here in Russia, it's characterized by neoliberal values. So I want to ask you this. Could you describe for me really what's behind this deviant ideology? And specifically, I'm going to ask you about the gay pride LGBTQ movement sweeping across Europe. So Dragana, tell me about this. I want to live in Russia, and then focus for us on one of the main reasons is deviant ideology.
Yes. Yes, we can start with this because for European people, I think it's the main topic. In the sense, this is the main problem in Europe. It's not possible to live anymore normally in Europe. We had a big conference in October, late October, in Minsk, in Belarus, organized by Fond Emil Chechko, and the main topic was the protection of children's rights in Europe. So I also speak at this forum about this very badly LGBT propaganda, which is very hard for all the people, but it's affecting the children mostly. And after this, we have the common Crimea Economic Forum, Yalta Economic Forum, Friends of Crimea in Moscow. So I continue to discuss with you as well and with other people who came from Europe to visit this forum, and we speak about the situation in Europe. Too many people wants to come to live in Russia, not because a lot of them even don't speak Russian. This is the problem, but the main reason why they want to live in Russia because of the atmosphere and because of the standard, because we lose all the standards in Europe. In the past, before 1974, LGBT propaganda was illness. It was recognized like illness, and it was written in the books of psychology that it's illness. But after this, the American Association of Psychologists decided to represent the other view on this topic, and after that we have expansion of this LGBT ideology. Now it's not recognized like illness, but the problem is that it's recognized something like it's necessary to involve all the people in the world in this, and this minority in the Europe there is in the Eastern Europe between 2 and 5% of people recognize themselves like the part of LGBT society. In the Western Europe, it's higher, between the 5 and 15%. But anyway, 15% of people are trying to involve in all parts of life in all other people. So this is the situation in Europe. I speak to a lot of colleagues with a lot of colleagues from Austria, Germany, France, many other countries, and all they have the same problem, not at the same level. I will say in Germany, I think it is most problematic situation in Germany. Even my friends, which I know, they decided to send their own family, for example, children who were born in Germany, in German cities, to live in some other country where situation is a little bit better. For example, it's in Spain. In Serbia, for now, we don't have so much problems like in other European country, but the problems are coming. If something we don't change in Europe, the problems will come to Serbia as well. And also I know, for example, a lot of Serbian people are working in some other European countries, especially in Germany, in Austria. We have a big diaspora in these countries, but now they are saying they cannot live anymore there. No matter they have good jobs there, they are paid well. But the problem is they cannot stand that they are sending the children in the schools there, in the kindergartens, and then there are coming some drag queens or LGBT representatives to learn their children about this tolerance, so-called tolerance on LGBT ideology. So the situation I don't know how to call this situation. Is desperate really. And I know in the United States also that you have similar problems. Now Trump tried to change something. It's very difficult. I speak also with colleagues from United States. For example, I heard that they had a problem how to reorganize the people who are in the sorry, I forgot the name, who are locked in the prison, because they have cells for the women's and for the men's, but also for the LGBT people who are transgenders, who are represent themselves recognized like women's. They're with women's, and now when they change some laws, they have a problem how to reorganize now this system inside the prison. So this is only one example, but the problem is that this situation is affecting on all other fields, human fields, and this is a really big problem. We need something radically to change, and I think the reason is why the people like Russia, because Russia decided to not to be involved in this kind of experiment. I think it's experiment.
I want to thank you for that, and I want to follow up. I haven't lived in the United States now for over 6 years. So I know what's happening there only by what I read and I hear from friends and colleagues there. But I think probably it is much more advanced in the United States than perhaps across Europe. But the same things are going to happen. Laws are going to change. And, you're going to find transgender people, LGBTQ people in kindergarten, first grade, telling children about changing their gender. So I agree with you. I think it's very dangerous. The one thing I want to point out is when I first came to Russia in 2016, I was finishing a film, and I had to come to Russia to find out for myself the truth about Russia. Before I left home, I gathered a handful of friends. I think it was 7 or 8 friends. And I said, I'm going to Russia. I want to interview a lot of people. And what are the things you would like me to ask people? And one of the things was this, Dragana. Many Americans believe that gays and lesbians are persecuted and are sent to prisons. And I asked that question of a number of people. And what I learned, and I've learned since I've been here now, is that there are no laws against gay and lesbian relationships. As long as you keep it private, that's your business. But Russia does not allow any public displays and proselytizing or teaching about these alternative lifestyles. And I know you would agree with that because you've been here and you spent much time here in Russia. And so what I'd like to focus on the fundamental reason why people across Europe, including the United States, are wanting to move to a country like Russia. And people will say it's because of the traditional values, that Russia is doing all it can to preserve traditional family values and cultural values and religious values. As you know,
Yes.
the Orthodox Church here and elsewhere is doing all it can to preserve those values.
Yes.
So do you tell me a little bit about the opposition to these neoliberal values, specifically this whole LGBTQ movement across Europe? What kind of resistance is there?
Well, we have more resistance in these Southeast European countries, as I said. For example, in Hungary, I think Hungary is the first country in Europe which decided to get a new law and to forbid the LGBT propaganda. As you said, in Russia, it's exactly like that. I mean, nobody is prosecuting or pushing some couples who are not in sex, who are not in this sexual traditional way having relationship, but this propaganda it's forbidden in the public space, and it's normal for me because we know from the history that problem we have from the long time ago. I mean, some very small part of population, about 5%, is orientated like in this LGBT society. It's part of this society, and we know this from the history. It was all the time the same. But now we have the problem that someone is using these people. Someone is using these people for policy and using this agenda to push other people. So Hungary and Orban decided to bring a new law. Also, there are some attempts in Bulgaria, for example. They recently adopted a new draft of law. But also we need to know that these liberals or neoliberals, how you call them, Regis, they are also very active against this. They are active against protection of religion rights, protection of cultural heritage, history, and so on. So I think that many of them are connected with American structure as well. For example, if we speak about Orthodoxy, about the Orthodox Church, we need to know that Orthodox Church is attacked as well, because the part of this hybrid war, this is also spiritual war, and Orthodox Church is attacked. So we have a problem, for example, with this bishop of Bartolome from Istanbul, who is the part of Orthodox, but he is acting like the CIA agent and working against the Orthodox, inside the Orthodox. So he's some kind of virus. And he have a lot of supporters in the Bulgaria, for example, and they are acting all the time against traditional rights, traditional values, and so on. We have the similar situation in Slovakia, for example. They also decided to adopt a new law. I think it's in the procedure, and also in Poland. So we have these eastern countries. In Serbia, yes, you mentioned what is going on in Serbia. I mean, you're interested in what is going on in Serbia. In Serbia, we have this LGBT prides every year in September. No matter that all the people in Serbia are against this, the Serbian people are traditional people. So in the past they organized the big protest against the LGBT pride in Belgrade, but 10 years ago, our government decided to bring this some military equipment and military cars, for example, and tanks to protect the LGBT pride. So after that, I think people were very disappointed that we didn't have protest after that, because they understand that they cannot fight against the system. And it's very interesting. Last year, my good friend, he is a journalist, Nemanja Šarović, he decided to go to visit this LGBT gay parade in the center of Belgrade. And he interviewed a lot of people, and a lot of people were foreigners. You couldn't find the Serbian people there. There were the people from Turkey, from Spain, from Germany, from Austria, even there were a few from Russia, these extreme liberals who came to Serbia. But you couldn't find a lot of people from Serbia. It means that someone is organizing this theater in our countries. Maybe also it's also in the same situation in other countries. I don't know, but I know in Serbia someone is organizing this, bringing foreigners to attend on this LGBT pride. And what is most dangerous, they are trying to be very aggressive against our traditional values. For example, they naked take the pictures in the front of our churches, and also in the front of monuments of children who died in the 99 in the NATO aggression. So it's very disgusting to see or naked people who are taking the photos and walking around our monuments of victims of NATO aggression or of our church.
So, Dragana, that begs the question, and you alluded to it. There is an agenda, and the question is, what is the agenda and who's behind it? I would maintain that I believe there is an agenda, and the agenda obviously is to destroy traditional values, but clearly to me, to destroy the family, which is the basic unit that holds a country and society together. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that I'm totally out?
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think as well that this is the main agenda, and also to destroy the normal relations between the people, to destroy all normal human values. We have some standard. I mean, many people are now watching Russia, like the state who is protecting the normal human values, rights. Because in the past, it was totally unnormal to see naked people walking with some flags and attacking our values. But today we see that it's happening all the time, and I think this is the main agenda: to destroy the family, to destroy normal relations between people. And this is the problem, especially for the young. For the children, because they are starting now from the young ages, from the beginning of the life of the people, to push this story and to push even to they want to allow to young boy who is, for example, 5 6 years, who don't understand a lot, to choose his gender or something. It's totally unnormal. It's totally unnormal. So yes, I totally agree with you that this is the main agenda.
So, Dragana, it's much more complicated than that. And the title of your article, which I really liked and is very profound, was Escape from the West from Repression and Aggressive Propaganda. Now, what we're seeing is repression of political views that go against the official narrative.
Yes.
We're seeing people who are being arrested and put in jail for protesting and for Palestinian rights, for example, or for
Yes.
protesting against LGBTQ. They're being persecuted now. And so, on the one hand, we have this repression, which I believe is part of the agenda. It's part of how they are destroying any opposition to the assault on traditional values. And
Yes.
then you mentioned aggressive propaganda. Oh my God. Dragana, I want you to talk about that. It's 24/7 everywhere.
Yes.
And the unfortunate thing, Dragana, is that in countries like yours and most other countries in Europe, people who are trying to resist this are repressed, and the rest of the population is being inundated with this aggressive propaganda. I have to say, I don't see that in Russia, but I'd like your views on that.
Yes, for sure. I am laughing when I heard that, in Russia there is a dictatorship, or Putin is dictator and so on. But you know, because you're living in Russia, I know as well, because I spent a lot of time in that country. And for me, I visited a lot of countries, maybe nearly 100. And for me, the Russia is most freedom country. That is why I like to be there, because I literally feel the freedom in the air. In the Europe, you cannot feel something like this. As you said, there is a repression. They are trying to restrict all people who are protesting against what is happening in Gaza, what we can see. Who are protesting against LGBT propaganda, who are also trying to say that it's not war, it's not only right decision for problems which we have. I think it's not a good decision at all if we know the past, yeah. But they're also very trying to restrict these people who are also trying to spread the peaceful agenda in Europe, you know? And also who are saying that maybe Russia is not the only one who is guilty. for the geopolitical changes, conflict in Ukraine, and so on. So they are very radical. They started to, as you said, to to press the people, and to even they arrested a lot of people, and they have a lot of problems. They close their bank accounts, for example. Also, they use this propaganda against the people who are not agree with this mainstream agenda. So I had also a lot of problems in the past, and still I have, but for me it's not a problem to fight against this, because I was born in the time of Yugoslavia, and in 90s, in my young years, we started to have problems with sanctions, with wars, with the propaganda. So for me, it's something which I very well know. And I'm fighting against this. But also, I will mention that in Europe, you cannot find the justice anymore. You cannot find the democracy, the freedom of speech. They are saying all the time, oh, we are protecting some European values, democracy, human rights, freedom of speech. But there is no democracy and freedom of speech in Europe. And I will mention, and maybe will be interesting for the people to hear, I was deported in the April of this year from Vienna, Austria, back to Belgrade. And I was banned to enter the Schengen zone for 3 years. I asked them, what is the reason for my ban? Because I don't have any information about this. And it's necessary to send information to someone who is restricted. They said, we don't know, because Greece wanted to ban your entrance in the Schengen zone. I said, okay, but you need to say me the reason. It's like Kafka. You know this book of Kafka Process. So I'm already from the April, I'm fighting with this Kafka system. And I said, I don't agree with this. So they wanted me to pay 1,000 euros because I break the law. I'm forbidden, for me it's forbidden to enter, and I tried to enter in the EU. I said I didn't know. I told you, no one sent me the information that I'm banned. So the policemen in Austria decided to, they told me, if you don't want to pay, we will use the power. I said I don't want to pay because I'm not guilty. I don't want to pay. So they invited 7 policemen, and they took my bag and take the money for the wallet. And I said, for me, it's like something like I cannot say stealing, because stealing is usually secretly. It's like banditism, criminalism. So I was back in Belgrade and sent a letter to the Greece police and to the Ministry of Police of Greece, asking why I'm banned for entering the Schengen zone. So I didn't get any information already 8-9 months, and I decided to go to court in Austria. I lose this case. But now I send all these documents, and I appeal to the European Core for Human Rights, because all this is against my basic human rights. This is totally insane, and the most insane is that they don't want to tell me what is the reason. What is the reason? Because I didn't break any law, I don't have any criminality past. So what is the reason? The reason is because they don't like my position, my political position. This is the reason. But of course, they cannot write this, and they are trying to ignore. But we will see what will happen with this European Court for Human Rights, because the problem is that this, for example, Schengen informational system, I'm banned in this system, and this system is directly in the conflict with the basic Convention for Human Rights of European Union. and they are using the Schengen informational system against the people who are not compatible with this their mainstream agenda, who have their own position, who are against this propaganda, and who are politically are not correct. Yes, so this is totally insane.
Um, you mentioned a couple of things, and I appreciate you sharing your experience trying to get into Austria. People that are watching this show, they don't get much information about what's happening in places like your country, Serbia, Slovenia, Slovakia. They don't get much information about what's going on in Greece. Many Americans can't even find them on a map. So I appreciate
Yes.
you sharing that. But you mentioned something that I think people who are watching this show need to realize. There's an agenda, Dragana. You said there's no democracy, no freedom across Europe, the EU. People in America now more and more are waking up to the fact they do not live in a democratic society. Their First Amendment rights and their freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are being violated. They're being trampled upon. Under Trump, it's gone from bad to worse. And so, again, this begs the question, how can this be happening all across the United States and all across the EU at the same time if there's not something very powerful, if there's not an
Yes.
agenda, if there's not people who are in control of this agenda? And the conclusion, and the only conclusion you can draw, is they want to destroy, starting with the family, the basic unit of individual countries and their sovereignty. They want to whitewash everybody, pretend to make everybody the same, so that traditional values and basic sovereignty, the rights of every country to determine for themselves who they are and how they'll live. This
Yes.
is, I can't emphasize this enough, Dragana. And you mentioned something else that I want to comment on. You said in Russia, you can feel the difference. There is freedom in Russia. People are free to say what they want, even if they disagree with Putin and the government. You know that. There is a law,
Yes.
however, and I understand that and I respect it, to use any information that would discredit the Russian special military operation and the soldiers that are fighting in Ukraine. I don't disagree with that. It's wartime. And I think that Russia was right to say that this is illegal now and you'll be prosecuted if you aid the enemy. But I have to say, and you've been here so many times, you've lived here in this country, that since I've been here since 2016, I have felt more free here than I do in America. In fact, I would not dare, I wouldn't risk trying to return to the United States today because I would be accused of high treason and misdemeanors for aiding and abetting the enemy. And so when you talk about freedom, and here in Russia, and I think this is what you meant by your article, people are fleeing from the West, and not just from the West, but from other countries to escape the political repression, the overwhelming evil propaganda, and the destruction of traditional and family values. So, Dragana, it's like when I say this to people, they say, "Oh, you're a Putinista."
You're a Kremlin agent.
Yeah. And you've been brainwashed. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes, but I know this. I have the same problem, but not only me and you. I know my colleague from the European countries, from Germany, from too many countries. At the end, they say the Trump, it's also the Putin's agent. So it's totally, it's madness, some kind of madness, and they are trying to all the people who are against their agenda to discredit with this. Or you're extremist or you're the agent of Putin, and that's it. It's the same model every time. And recently I read the article of Mr. Paul Cray Roberts. He wrote about this how these global structures, how they use the propaganda against everyone who is not under control or who is not supporting their agenda. They are using to satanize the people, literally. That every person after a while have been satanized with this propaganda, say, okay, I need to stop, I cannot handle this anymore. Already 10 years I have PR campaign against me. They are writing that I am the chief of the Russian spy network for Balkans. Already 10 years they are writing the same, publishing my picture with this, with any evidences. The only evidence is souvenir, like I can get from you the CIA souvenir, the cap or something. They will write that I am CIA agent, maybe. So they, without any evidences, so they are writing this. And also I have documentary films about me on this topic, that I'm the chief of the Russian spy network for Balkans. So they're spreading all the time and working this dirty propaganda against the people. But for me, as I said already, all my life, practically from my beginning, I am witnessing this mechanism. I understand these mechanisms very well, so I'm not too much affected by this. But for other people, it's probably a big problem.
Okay, Dragana, I want to shift gears and change the topic. Here in Russia, I get a little bit of news in the Russian media, mostly the English-speaking media, about Serbia. Now, I know that Serbia is not a NATO country. I know very little about your president, Alexander Vucic. I probably didn't pronounce that properly.
It's okay, Alexander Vucic, yeah.
He seems sometimes to be pro-Russian, and then he sometimes appears to be, well, he's sending some kind of aid, money or military aid to Ukraine. Could you clarify that for me? Like, what is Serbia's official foreign policy?
Yes, it's very important to understand this because it's very complicated. And these people who are trying to create their own theater everywhere, they are using the propaganda as well and using all the mechanism to control the people who are but they are not deciding. I think the Vucic is not making decisions. He is just following the orders. This is the problem. And he is under control from the beginning. He is in power from 2012. In that time, the Barack Obama was the president of the United States, and which is what is very interesting, how they are involved, and they are trying to. They are saying all the time that Russia is trying to be involved and to affect the others' elections. But for example, in 2012, we didn't finish the voting around 5 o'clock. The voting was from 8 to 8 p.m. So at 5 o'clock, in that time, a candidate for the president, Tomislav Nikolic, who is close to Alexander Vucic, received message from the Brussels, and they said they sent the message to the new president of Serbia. So they decided before we close the elections. That is how they are interfering. This is the one example. They are interfering in many different ways. So in that time, the globalists, the Barack Obama, the Democratic Party in the US decided to bring in power this progressive party in Serbia. I will explain why. Because before this, after the coup in 2000, when they organized demonstrations against Milosevic and the color revolution, it was in 5th October 2000. They bring to power Democrats. These political structures was dedicated to European values, to cooperation with the Westers, but at the same time, they wanted to protect the national and the state interests of Serbia. So they weren't all totally under control. They wanted to cooperate, but they wanted to keep their own strategic autonomy for decisions to protect the interests of the states. So the United States couldn't finish with them their own. United States have two main projects in the Balkans from the 90s. One is independent Kosovo, so-called independent Kosovo, and the second is unification of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So these are the main two projects, and they understand that they cannot finish their projects in the Balkans with Democrats because Democrats wanted to protect the interests of the states. So they decided, I read this in the WikiLeaks as well. So they decided to bring to power fake patriots, and with fake patriots, they can finish their projects because the people in Serbia, our people will be totally, they will not react because they will be sure that they have patriots on power and they will protect our interests. It's inversion, if you can understand. So they bring to power fake patriots. All the time we can hear from Vucic that he is dedicated to cooperation with Russia, but he wants to cooperate with all and so on. But from the beginning of the special military operation in 2022, then he started to change even his rhetoric. Before this, in 2015, they signed the agreement with NATO, several agreements. I will mention that Serbia was bombed by NATO in 1999. Until today, all the people in Serbia remember this, and we will not forget this as long as we live. In 1999, Serbia was bombed by NATO. In 2015, these so-called fake patriotic structures, Vucic and his party, they signed several agreements with NATO. One of them then is SOFA agreement, and second one is the individual plan of partnership with NATO. It's the highest level of cooperation with NATO for the country which is not the member. By these contracts agreement, NATO from that time, NATO is controlling totally Serbia in the military way. They can use not only our military objects, also civilian objects, and so on. So they are protected here. Everything what they wanted, they succeed with these agreements. So from 22, when the special military operation started, Vucic decided to not organize the trainings between Serbian and Russian army, for example, but he continued to organize with the NATO and the US. Also, he decided we had some agreement for Russian military equipment. We wanted to buy something. And I will mention that Serbian military standard is based on, in the past, on Soviet, and after this in Russia, because we have the literally the same military standards. But Vucic totally changed the standards in NATO standards. He implemented the NATO standards in the Serbian army. And also he decided to buy the military equipment from NATO country. We agreed to buy the Rafale planes from the France, and so on and so on. At the same time, sending a lot of Serbian weapon to Ukraine. First time I wrote about this in 2015, because I'm visiting the Donbass and the war zone from 2014, from the time when the war started. And without my eyes, in that time, I saw the civilian objects hit by Ukrainian army, schools and some buildings where their people live, apartments, and so on. And in 2015, there was a press conference in the Donbass in that time, and I saw there they show the Serbian rockets produced by Serbian military in that time, 2015. So I investigated all these cases, and I find out that the Serbia is cooperating through Vucic in the Middle East, in the Ukraine, in all other regions, only through this American-controlled network for the military aid. I mean, in that time, for example, there was a also Serbian rockets in the hand of the Islamic State in the Syria, in the Yemen as well, and all the weapon is only in Ukrainian side. You cannot find the Serbian rockets in the Russian army, for example, only in Ukraine. And in that time, he was saying all the time that these people who are saying that I'm sending the weapon to Kiev and Ukraine, they want to break the relations between Serbia and Russia. They are working for the MI6, or he said that we are some provocators. But at the end, he decided, I think he didn't decide it, but probably London pushed him, and he said in interview 2 years ago that he sent a lot of weapons to Ukraine, that Serbia in the Europe is the country who is helping, mostly helping Ukraine. Recently, his wife was visiting Ukraine and visiting this Kiev-Pecharsk Lavra, which is now under control of this secta, who is not regular church. Also, recently, the head of our parliament was in Kiev in the meeting with Zelensky. Vucic also met a few times Zelensky. So this is a really bad situation for all Serbian people, because Serbian people are supporting Russia. We are historical, traditional not friends, but we think that we have the same roots, the same language in the past, the same religion. So for us, the Russians are like same like Serbs. We don't see any difference. But now, with the political engineering, our political structures are working against Russia, but also at the same time against Serbia. This is the point. And recently, I will finish with this, the head of general staff of Serbian army, he was in Napoli in Italy, in this NATO, they have a new NATO commander. So he was in that event, and he said that cooperation with United States and with NATO for Serbia is guarantee for the peace and for stability in our region. Can you imagine that these NATO and US structures who bombed our country in 1999, who destroyed our country, our city, Belgrade, who bombed the buildings of general staff, they bombed in the center of Belgrade, he is recognizing them like the main factor of stability, guarantee of stability. And at the same time, I will mention, this is also very important to understand the situation inside the Serbia. Recently, we find out that illegally and secretly, our President Vučić signed an agreement with Jared Kushner, son-in-law of Donald Trump, and he sold this bombed building by NATO in 1999, general staff. He sold to Kushner. He wants to build some Trump Tower and some casino and hotel on the in this center of Belgrade, where these buildings are now like monument of NATO bombing of Serbia, destroyed. They are standing already 25 years. So we will have a casino, but this is also the message for these US political structures, because I make a difference between American people. American people, they are also the victims of this policy. American political structures, because they already built the American embassy on the place when was the military commander center from the Second World War. They built the embassy of US in this place, and in this building where is the Ministry of Defense and general staff, they want to build Trump Tower. So the message is, we destroyed you, we control you, we command.
Dragana, I really appreciate this. I was not aware of almost everything you were talking about. Obviously, Americans will not be aware of it either, but it just adds more fuel to the fire. Whoever those people are who are controlling United States foreign policy, USAID, soft power, hard power, bribes, all over, well, the world, but focusing on Eastern, Western Europe, Central Asia, we see it everywhere. And it's the same tactics. And I really appreciate you sharing what's going on in your country. Now, before we close, I have to ask you this. What the leaders of Brussels, who I think they're all like Vučić, they're under control of the United States or Great Britain, or a combination of both. These people are not qualified. They're not diplomats. They obviously have very low IQ, and they're all the same. So I want to ask you this last question. All of these leaders across Europe, and I'm talking almost exclusively, but not all the way to Scandinavia, are preparing their people for war against Russia, preparing their people to prepare for an attack by Russia all across Europe. I mean, anybody with any common sense knows that that is so insane and ridiculous, it's unbelievable. So the question I have for you, Dragana, are the people in Serbia, do you think the people that are living in these European countries that are struggling just to make a living, to take care of their families, do they really believe that Russia is going to attack them?
Well, we have a problem with this propaganda. It's very hard to understand what people think, because this dirty propaganda is working 24 hours every day of our lives. So, of course, there are people who are who still believe in this, what they are hearing in the television or radio station. Unfortunately, there are people who are wondering and there are people who are aware, but I think not too much. Not too much people are aware what is happening, unfortunately, because everything is under control. Political structures, medias are under control, institutions are also under control. Everything is under control. So the people, they don't have opportunity to hear something, you know. They even don't know, for example, what thinks China about this, Russia or African countries. They are only focused on United States, but not because they want this, because they don't have other opportunity. And for example, all the time they want to hear from me something, what is the Russian view, what Russia thinks, or China or other people, because they cannot understand a lot of things. And I think that anyway, maybe a lot of people don't understand, but anyway, they don't want war, especially they don't want to fight, because for decades they live in the conformism, individualism. These people are not ready for fighting, you know. They don't want to fight, and they're not ready. And especially with this LGBT propaganda, they destroy there are no soldiers anymore in Europe. It's true. So I really don't know how these mad people from the European Union, from the Brussels, from European Commission, Parliament, how they think to wage the war against Russia. Because before the Second World War, they had a lot of military weapons. They were very strong in the economic way, military way, in any way. And in that time, Soviet Union wasn't ready. You know this part of history, Regis. They needed to fight with their own hands from the beginning, but after they succeed to produce some tanks and Kalashnikov and so on. But it was in the time of war. But now they want, and they are saying they are not even trying to. They are saying openly, yes, we need to get ready for the war with Russia. So this is totally unnormal. I don't know how these people think. They don't have money, they don't have weapon, they don't have people who want to fight, they don't have soldiers. How they think to organize this? This is for me is the number one question, because I'm wondering how, you know. Because if you want to wage war, first you need to be economically strong and the military strong. The Western countries, I think in the late 90s, they decided to celebrate their victory in the Cold War. They said, oh, we win, we are the winners, everything we control. You know that Fukuyama wrote The End of History, so we are the owners of the world, we are only we decide and we are controlling everything. And in time when when they were celebrating this, Russia and China as well, they invest in the military projects. They have now hypersonic rockets, and Western countries don't have. So for me, it's not understandable how they think to wage the war against the Russia or China, because we see that Trump is also trying to push the China or to organize something, some provocation, or I don't know. Really, for me, it's really mistakes. So, you know. Always it's necessary to hope that everything will be fine and that this time history will not make such mistakes like in past, in the time of Napoleon or Hitler. But if you look these leaders, as you mentioned, who are not qualified at all, I'm not so positive. I don't know really what to expect, but the main thing is, the main question is how they think. Maybe they think they can invent some new, I don't know, power, new technology to do something and to radically change their position, but I think it's not possible. So it will be good to hope that there is conscience and that people who are creating this global policy can understand that we are not living anymore in the monopolar world, that it's not US, these structures, American structures, who are through this global system and network controlling everything, that already we are living in the multipolar world, that people in Europe and the US as well, recently I speak with one American lady. She was in the Serbia, and she said to me, "We are also tired. We are tired of this because we can understand now. It's not normal that only Americans have the right to create the policy everywhere, to spread these so-called democracy values and so. The African people also have their rights. You also have Serbian people have also right, but it's not normal to ignore the right of all the people and to continue. The problem is that US have still this foreign policy based on this Wolfowitz doctrine. What is this doctrine? It's dedicated to destroy all geopolitical concurrence. So basically it's Russia, yeah, but now in China as well. But really, I think it's necessary to think more deeply and to understand that we are not the world was changing these past years, and it's necessary to cooperate, to organize the world for all, and for American people, European people, for Africans as well. All we need together in the cooperation to organize our lives, of course, based on this, how we want to live. I think this is the point.
Dragana, I want to thank you very much for this. Was a real education tonight about what's going on in Serbia, in the Balkans. Very, very informative. We ended up talking now on a geopolitical level. I'd like to have you back as soon as possible, as early as next week. And I'd like to talk with you about what's happening geopolitically, connect some of these dots, what's happening with the disappearing unipolar world, the emerging multipolar world, the decline of the United States influence and de-dollarization, and where this is possibly going. So I can't thank you enough. It's so good to see you again. And I hope that we can pick this conversation up right where we're leaving off sometime next week.
Yes, for sure. It will be my pleasure.